Tier 1 entry number 3 is the jackalope. I have a really vague childhood memory of being at a restaurant with my family and seeing an odd piece of taxidermy that a lot of us are probably familiar with. A hare with deer antlers very convincingly attached to its head. I remember my dad explaining that it was a jackalope and that it was a deer-rabbit hybrid, which, by the way, I know hares and rabbits aren't the same, so don't come for me. As a child, you're willing to believe anything, so I accepted this information as fact and lived my life the next couple of years believing that jackalopes were just another weird animal. Until I started learning about the disappointing realities of genetics and the sad, feeble limitations of hybridization. If you're living in America especially, as I'm not sure how common jackalope taxidermy is outside the US, you've probably seen something similar. So, where did jackalopes come from? First, the term jackalope is just a combination of the words jackrabbit and antelope. I'm unsure why antelope is part of the name when the headgear usually comes from a deer, but I'm gonna guess that it just sounded better. Anyways, North America has a particular branch of folklore that originated from the logging camps of the 20th century. Apparently, when you weren't chopping down trees in the middle of nowhere, there wasn't much else to do besides making up colorful stories about imaginary creatures, which, honestly, as someone who enjoys making up creatures, can I just say mood? This branch of folklore is known as fearsome critters. One of these, the cactus cat, has been featured on the channel previously, so definitely check that out if you want to see another of these weird critters. According to Wikipedia, in the 1930s, Douglas Herrick and his brother, hunters with taxidermy skills, popularized the American jackalope by grafting deer antlers onto a jackrabbit carcass and selling the combination to a local hotel in Douglas, Wyoming. You know, just for funsies. Apparently, people ate it up because there became such a demand for jackalope mounts that other taxidermists began to produce them, and the creature became a common sight in bars, restaurants, and hotels across the country. Herrick and his brother made the jackalope popular, but the origin of the jackalope myth reaches beyond their exploits. It's suspected that jackalope tales began to circulate due to actual sightings of rabbits suffering from the Shope papillomavirus, which causes keratinized tumors to grow on the victim's head and face. Tales of the jackalope jokingly describe it as being able to move at speeds up to 90 miles per hour. They are also said to be highly aggressive, to the point that hunters were told to armor their legs with stovepipes so that a possible jackalope encounter wouldn't end with them getting gored. Creepily enough, jackalopes are also said to be able to mimic human voices and can even sing, which, what the heck, that's terrifying. Apparently, they use this mimicry to avoid capture rather than to lure people in like other well-known cryptids, but that's still eerie nonetheless. Today, the jackalope is one of the cryptozoological icons in North America. Wyoming has actually tried to pass a bill several times to make the jackalope the state's official cryptid. Didn't even know states had official cryptids, the more you know. Douglas, Wyoming prides itself as the jackalope capital of the world and uses jackalope imagery just about everywhere. Statues, billboards, their city logo, you name it, Douglas probably has a jackalope for it. They even have an annual Jackalope Day in June that includes events such as mud volleyball and a monster truck obstacle course. And just to go the extra mile, they also offer jackalope hunting licenses. While jackalopes aren't quite as big of a deal outside of Douglas, with the taxidermy specimens usually just being a curio or a conversation piece, they're still very much a part of American culture. So I guess the moral of the story is, if you get an idea for a piece of art that you think is really silly or weird and you think no one else will like it, just take a page from Douglas Herrick's book and do it anyways. It might just become a national icon. That's your positivity for the day. As far as the art for this entry, I wanted to keep it something simple and relatively quick, so I decided to do a sketchbook spread. I don't draw lagomorphs very often, so it was good practice as well. I thought it might be fun to feature antler variations found on different deer species in North America. If I remember correctly, I went with the caribou, elk, mule deer, and white-tailed deer, plus the pronghorn, which is not a deer, but I just felt like drawing its horns. I ended up remembering why I dislike drawing antlers, perspective, but drawing the hairs themselves was pretty entertaining. They can be some freaky looking critters even without the stabby bits. Those eyes have seen some things. This turned into a much needed, relaxing art session, so I'm glad I didn't go for something extra for this entry. It's nice to keep things simple every once in a while and just put out something low pressure.